If you run a renovation or home improvement company and your leads feel inconsistent, some months are great and some months you're checking your phone wondering where the next job is coming from, I want to tell you why that happens because it's not what you think. Most contractors believe that the problem is that they don't have enough leads, but that's almost never the actual problem. The actual problem is that you're relying on a system that was never a system in the first place. You're relying on referrals. And referrals feel free, so they feel good. But think about what actually has to happen for a referral to land in your lap. A past client has to be talking to a friend, the friend has to mention that they need work done, and it has to happen at the exact moment that you're top of mind. That's 3 things that all have to line up at once. Here's a quick test. If referrals stopped completely tomorrow, how many jobs would you book next month? Most contractors I talk to can't answer that question. So if that sounds like you, then you don't actually have a business yet. You just have a job that occasionally gets word of mouth. I want to tell you a story because I think it explains this better than just telling you the fix. A friend of mine started a cookie business a few years back. Before he opened anything, he spent a year baking a new batch every single day. That's 365 batches. He numbered every one of them, gave them out to people, and wrote down what they said. By the time he actually opened his doors, he knew exactly what worked, and he already had the phone numbers of everyone who had tasted his cookies along the way. Now that business crushed it, but not because he got lucky. It's because he did unscalable work that nobody else was willing to do before he tried anything. Renovation companies are no different. The guys that are booked solid aren't the ones who got lucky with a referral. They're the ones who built something that puts them in front of homeowners on purpose every single month, consistently, whether or not a referral comes in that month. So let's talk about what this actually looks like because I'm not going to leave you with the concept. I'm going to give you 3 things and I want you to notice that none of them work by themselves. They only worked when you stack them together. First thing is paid advertising on Facebook and Instagram, not boosting a post. A real targeted campaign aimed at homeowners in your service area who are actively in the mindset of getting work done. Most homeowners are already finding local services this way. Your competitors are either not doing this at all, or they're doing it badly, which brings me to the second thing. Your creative has to look real. I see contractors run ads with stock photos of staged kitchens that look like they came off of a furniture catalog, and homeowners scroll right past it because their brain files it as an ad. What stops the scroll is proof. A real before and after shot on iPhone. A real number like, we finished this bathroom in 9 days. Now rough beats polished in this category almost every single time because the rough thing looks real and people are looking for something authentic. They don't want another ad. So if you've got a phone full of job site photos sitting there right now, that's not just your camera roll, that's your entire ad library. You don't need a photographer, you need proof. Here's the third piece, and this is the one almost no one does, which is exactly why it's the highest leverage one. Speed to lead. When someone fills out a form asking about a kitchen remodel, they're usually filling out 3 or 4 forms at the same time and searching up competitors. Whoever responds first is overwhelmingly likely to win that job, often before anyone even gets a quote out the door. And it's worse than that. The data on this is consistent. Your odds of actually connecting with that lead drop off a cliff after the first 5 minutes, not 5 hours, 5 minutes. So if your current plan is, I'll call him back tonight after I finish the job I'm on, you're losing work that you don't even know you're losing. They didn't reject you, they just went with whoever called back first. The fix here doesn't require hiring a receptionist. It's an automated text that fires the second someone fills out your form. Something as simple as, hey, thanks for reaching out. What's the project you're working on? That buys you the time to actually call them back while keeping them warm instead of letting them move on to the next name on their list. This one change by itself can be the difference between closing 10% of your leads and closing 30% of them. Now here's why I told you all 3 of these steps instead of just one. You can run a great ad campaign with real proof and still lose the job if you don't call back fast enough. You can have perfect follow-up and still get nothing if everyone scrolled past your ad anyways. These 3 things build off of each other, and none of them save a weak business by themselves. Together, they're what separates the contractors who are booked solid from the ones checking their phone every 10 minutes. Now, I get it though, you're running the business, you're on the tools half the day, you're doing quotes on a Sunday night because that's the only window you've got. And you already know most of this stuff matters, you just don't have the hours to build it and run it yourself, and that's a completely different problem to solve. So here's what I'd actually do this week, even if you don't get any help with this at all. Pull 20 real before and after photos off your phone from recent jobs. Write down the actual number of days a recent project took, start to finish, and set up one simple automated text on whatever lead form you're already using so that nobody waits more than a few minutes to hear from you. Now, those 3 things alone will put you ahead of most of your competition, and none of it costs you anything but time. If you'd rather have this built and run for you instead of doing it yourself, that's what we do at RenoFlow. We run the ads, we set up the creatives, and we set up the speed to lead follow-up. The first month, we manage it completely for free. You only cover your ad spend. There's a link in the description if you want to see whether that makes sense for your business.